When Seinfeld first aired in 1989, no one could have imagined how deeply it would change the world of television. Created by Larry David and Jerry Seinfeld, this show about nothing turned everyday conversations into comedy gold. The show didn't rely on typical sitcom plots filled with family problems or romantic endings. Instead, it focused on life's small annoyances: waiting in line, losing your car, or dating disasters. Over 9 seasons, Seinfeld became a cultural phenomenon. People quoted the lines, repeated the jokes, and connected with the strange, yet relatable characters. But what many fans don't realize is that the series went through several cast changes behind the scenes. Some characters vanished quietly, others were recast, and a few left after dramatic conflicts. Even though these moments didn't always make headlines at the time, they played a big role in shaping the show's final form. In this article, we'll look at the real reasons why some actors left Seinfeld, and how those departures affected the legendary sitcom. One of the biggest casting changes happened early on with George Costanza's loud and unforgettable father, Frank. In his first appearance, Frank was played by actor John Randolph. Randolph was a respected performer with decades of experience, but his version of Frank was calm and polite. Not at all the over-the-top character fans later came to love. The producers soon realized something wasn't clicking. The chemistry between Frank and Estelle, George's mother, didn't feel electric enough. After the episode aired, Larry David and the production team decided to make a bold move. They recast Frank with Jerry Stiller, who brought a completely different kind of energy. Stiller's Frank was angry, loud, and hilarious. His shouting matches with George and Estelle became some of the funniest moments in the entire series. It's rare for a recast to completely redefine a character, but this one did exactly that. While Randolph's version wasn't bad, Stiller's interpretation turned Frank into a comedy legend. The recast also showed how fearless the creators were about making changes, even if it meant refilming scenes from previous episodes to match the new tone. Jerry's on-screen father, Morty Seinfeld, also went through a major casting change. In the very early episodes, Morty was played by Philip Bruns. Bruns gave the role a softer, more laid-back feel, portraying Morty as a warm, gentle father. However, Jerry Seinfeld and Larry David felt that Bruns's style didn't fit the show's sharp, sarcastic rhythm. They wanted someone who could match the quick comedic timing of Jerry's mother, Helen, played by Liz Sheridan. When they later brought in Barney Martin as the new Morty, everything clicked. Martin's version was sharper, louder, and much more opinionated, the perfect contrast to Jerry's calm personality. His scenes about the raincoat business and his stubborn pride as a retired man became instant fan favorites. The change might have seemed small at the time, but it actually helped Seinfeld find the perfect balance between its lead characters' families. Just like with Frank Costanza, the producers made a brave decision to replace a good actor in pursuit of great chemistry. In television, that's never an easy choice, but it made Seinfeld stronger. One of the most talked about departures in Seinfeld history was Susan Ross, George Costanza's fiancée, played by Heidi Swedberg. Susan was introduced as a serious, responsible woman, the total opposite of George's chaotic personality. Their relationship created some of the funniest and most awkward moments in the show. However, behind the scenes, there were reports that Swedberg's acting style didn't blend well with the main cast. Jason Alexander, who played George, once mentioned that while Swedberg was talented, their chemistry was difficult to make funny. After several seasons of trying to make it work, the writers made a shocking decision. They killed Susan off in the season 7 finale. The way she died was darkly comedic. She accidentally poisoned herself by licking toxic wedding invitation envelopes. Fans were stunned, but the cast admitted later that the scene was a way to end a storyline that wasn't working. Despite the grim humor, Swedberg's exit became one of Seinfeld's most unforgettable moments, reminding everyone that even a comedy about nothing could take surprising risks. Some actors left Seinfeld not because of bad chemistry, but because they scared everyone on set. Literally. One such case was Lawrence Tierney, who played Elaine's father, Alton Benese. In the episode The Jacket, Tierney was a Hollywood veteran known for tough guy roles. But during filming, his real-life behavior made the cast nervous. According to multiple reports, Tierney was intense and unpredictable. During a break, he even tried to steal a prop knife as a joke, which frightened Jerry and the crew. After that, the team decided never to bring him back. Despite his short appearance, Tierney's performance left a lasting impression. Elaine's father was so strict and intimidating that he felt like a real military general. It's almost ironic. The actor's real personality perfectly matched his character. However, Seinfeld was meant to be a light-hearted show, and the tension Tierney created behind the scenes was too much for the relaxed atmosphere the team wanted. His one-time role became a fascinating what-if moment in television history. fans still wonder how many more laughs Elaine's father could have brought if things had gone differently. When Seinfeld first began, the pilot episode introduced a character named Claire, a friendly waitress at Pete's Luncheonette. Played by Lee Garlington, she was supposed to be the group's regular hangout companion, someone like the fifth friend. However, after the pilot aired, the creators realized that her presence changed the group's dynamic. Having a female friend in that casual setting softened the show's rough, self-centered humor. Larry David and Jerry Seinfeld decided to remove her character entirely before the next episode. Later, the show introduced Elaine Bennis, played by Julia Louis-Dreyfus, who became one of the most iconic sitcom characters in history. Elaine had wit, boldness, and a unique sense of humor that fit the show perfectly. Looking back, removing Claire was one of the smartest creative decisions the writers ever made. It allowed the series to find its balance: 3 selfish guys and 1 equally sharp woman. Although Lee Garlington's time on Seinfeld was brief, her role remains a key reminder of how small changes can shape a show's entire direction. Perhaps the most emotional departure from Seinfeld wasn't an actor. It was the show's co-creator, Larry David. After writing or co-writing almost every episode for the first 7 seasons, Larry left the series before season 8. He was known for his perfectionism and his ability to turn awkward real-life moments into genius comedy. His exit shocked fans and even worried the network. Without Larry, many wondered if Seinfeld would still feel like Seinfeld. Jerry Seinfeld decided to continue the show without him, and while seasons 8 and 9 were still successful, longtime fans noticed a difference in tone. The humor became more cartoonish, with bigger storylines and less of the subtle, realistic charm that Larry had brought. Larry David's reason for leaving was simple. He was exhausted and wanted to move on creatively. He later returned for the Seinfeld finale, and eventually created Curb Your Enthusiasm, another hit that carried his signature style. His departure marked the end of an era, but also proved that his storytelling magic could stand on its own. Aside from the major departures, Seinfeld had many smaller casting changes that fans still notice today. For example, George's boss Mr. Kruger, Jerry's agent Stu Zimmerman, and even some of Kramer's friends were replaced or rewritten across seasons. The show's creators weren't afraid to make adjustments whenever something didn't work. One famous change happened with the actor who played Newman, Kramer's neighbor and Jerry's nemesis. In his first mention, Newman's voice was actually provided by Larry David. Later, Wayne Knight took over the role, and his exaggerated expressions and comedic timing turned Newman into one of television's most memorable side characters. These constant tweaks showed the team's commitment to perfection. Seinfeld wasn't just a show that happened to succeed. It was carefully shaped through every creative decision, even if that meant replacing a talented actor for the sake of tone, pacing, or chemistry. Looking back now, every cast change and departure played a part in Seinfeld's long-lasting success. What could have been seen as chaos behind the scenes actually helped the show evolve. Jerry Stiller's Frank Costanza brought endless laughter. Barney Martin made Morty unforgettable. Heidi Swedberg's tragic ending as Susan created one of television's most iconic dark jokes. Lawrence Tierney's scary presence became a legendary behind-the-scenes story. And Larry David's exit showed the world how deeply his creative touch shaped Seinfeld's identity. The show may have been called a show about nothing, but in truth, it was about everything: friendship, ego, awkwardness, and the strange rules of everyday life. The fact that it survived and thrived through so many cast changes only proves its brilliance. Today, decades later, people still quote lines from the show, debate their favorite episodes. Even though Seinfeld became one of the most successful shows in television history, not every actor or crew member agreed with every decision. When certain characters were replaced or written off, the main cast often had mixed emotions. For example, Jason Alexander, who played George, later admitted that while Heidi Swedberg was a talented and kind person, their comedic styles didn't match. His comments about their chemistry became famous years later, when he explained that it was difficult to find the right rhythm in scenes together. Julia Louis-Dreyfus and Michael Richards, Elaine and Kramer, also recalled that while some changes were tough, they trusted Larry David's instincts completely. Everyone on Seinfeld knew that Larry had a unique sense of comedy. If he thought a change was needed, it usually meant the show would get better. Still, some actors who were replaced, like John Randolph and Philip Bruns, handled it with grace. They understood that show business is unpredictable, and that sometimes great performances still don't fit a show's evolving vision. These moments taught the cast and the audience that even behind a comedy masterpiece, tough creative decisions are often the price of perfection. From the very beginning, Seinfeld operated differently from most sitcoms. Jerry Seinfeld and Larry David treated every episode like a finely tuned puzzle. Every joke had to land perfectly, and every character interaction needed to feel real but funny. That attention to detail created a lot of pressure for everyone involved, from the writers to the actors. The producers didn't hesitate to make big changes if something felt off. While that might sound harsh, it was this perfectionism that made Seinfeld timeless. The same mindset that led to recasting Frank or rewriting Susan's storyline also made the show's best moments unforgettable. Think about the contest, the soup Nazi, or the puffy shirt. Every one of those episodes was a risk that could have gone wrong, but the creators trusted their instincts. When something wasn't working, they didn't settle. They fixed it. That drive for excellence is what separated Seinfeld from other shows of its time. In a way, the cast departures weren't failures. They were part of a larger creative process that kept the show sharp and fresh. Fans play a huge role in how any show evolves, and Seinfeld was no different. During its original run, audience reactions mattered, but not in the same instant way we see on social media today. Instead, reactions came through fan mail, focus groups, and ratings. When actors left or were replaced, the viewers noticed immediately. For example, when Jerry Stiller replaced John Randolph, fans didn't just accept it, they celebrated it. People loved Frank Costanza's energy, and it became one of the defining features of later seasons. On the other hand, the death of Susan Ross shocked many viewers. Some found it hilarious, others thought it was too dark. But whether fans loved or hated it, everyone was talking about it. And that conversation kept Seinfeld in the spotlight. The show's creators understood that strong reactions, even negative ones, were better than silence. They never played it safe just to please everyone. Instead, they trusted their vision. Over time, fans came to respect that honesty. Seinfeld became a show that wasn't afraid to take bold steps, even when it meant saying goodbye to familiar faces. Inside the Seinfeld writers' room, things were just as fascinating as what appeared on screen. Larry David led a small team of writers who shared his dry, observational sense of humor. They worked long hours, debating over tiny details like the right line delivery or even a single word choice. The decision to let certain actors go or recast them often came after serious discussion. Nothing was done out of ego or impulse. It was always about the flow of comedy. For example, when deciding to replace Philip Brones as Morty Seinfeld, Larry and Jerry didn't see it as firing someone. They saw it as adjusting the rhythm of a joke. The same was true for Susan Ross's exit. In the writers' room, they joked about it being dark humor, but they also knew it would make Seinfeld stand out. Every creative decision had to serve the comedy first. That philosophy helped the team keep the show consistent, even when actors changed. It also built a sense of unity. Everyone knew that the ultimate goal was to make the funniest, most original show possible. Each departure subtly changed Seinfeld's overall tone. Early on, the humor was dry and realistic, almost quiet at times. But after certain cast changes, the energy became louder and more exaggerated, especially after Jerry Stiller and Barney Martin joined. Their expressive performances added chaos and excitement to family scenes. Similarly, removing the character Claire and introducing Elaine gave the show a sharper, more modern edge. Elaine wasn't a background character. She was confident, outspoken, and often smarter than the men around her. That shift added balance and freshness to the comedy. Later, when Larry David left after season 7, another tonal shift happened. The show became a bit more cartoonish and less grounded, with episodes like The Frogger and The Merv Griffin Show pushing the boundaries of absurd humor. While some fans missed the subtle realism of earlier seasons, others loved the new, unpredictable energy. Every change, whether in cast or creative team, marked a new phase of Seinfeld's evolution. Instead of breaking the show, these adjustments kept it alive and surprising.